Greetings and welcome back. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always, with, this week I'm going to go with my internet wife. My internet wife, Kyle Fergusson.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary, Garrett.
Oh, happy anniversary, Kyle. It's 6 years. What do you get for 6 years?
I can find out. I mean, technically, if you look at the number of shows we've done, that is not 6 years of shows. It's actually 7 years. The alpha came out in March 10th of 2014. However, official release June 2nd marks 6 years of Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, we're on the sixth release anniversary of Heroes of the Storm.
Candy. The traditional gift is sweet and candy or iron?
Iron? All right, Kyle, I'll get you a sword.
Also wood?
That's weird.
Iron is the traditional gift. I guess it's kind of like it's like a birthstone sort of thing. I think it goes through like paper and aluminum foil or something, and then other elements.
When do we get to bronze, silver, gold, and platinum?
I can find out. I have the internet.
Because Kyle, you're my diamond.
Oh. It's crazy to think, of course, that we've all been enjoying this game for 7 years, let alone 6. But yeah, a weird little thing happened. Heroes forgot its own anniversary. Every year in the past, we have received some sort of "you logged in on the day" kind of event. Of course, not Belial, the Reddit poster he is, took to the Reddit this week and said, "Be sure to log in and look at these rewards that he's made up." And I, without reading names, swiftly went to my account, logged in, and found no 6, no nothing. But not terribly surprising, given how everything's been going. We just had a really big patch, and I think that's fine. It's more for us to celebrate at this point than it is for the company to tell us to celebrate.
Yeah, it's, to me, it's a little bit, it's a mixed bag. I saw a lot of people talking about it on the Reddit and whatnot. It doesn't surprise me, right? It's the kind of thing that with our community, we could look at that and go, yeah, it's gonna ruffle some feathers. But yeah, I would have liked a spray just so, like, I don't know, we didn't have to have this conversation. Give me anything at all. Like, I haphazardly draw 6 in Photoshop and add it in because clearly it's that easy, and I know exactly the low effort it takes to put something like that in the game. That was ironic, in case anyone, or I was joking there. But yeah, this is the kind of thing where I'm like, could you just give us anything at all? Because, like, I just don't want to have this conversation. This is the kind of thing I do not want to have a take on, because I'm just like, whatever, man. This game is not what it used to be. It is a labor of love for the players and the team that seems to be keeping it alive despite Blizzard's leadership's best attempts to kill it dead. So we make our own damn anniversary here.
I agree. And it's a celebration for us. And I do think, in the age of the internet, we still do a lot of really weird things as people. Like, you're getting married and you're like, let me text everybody so they don't find out via Facebook, because that would be insulting. But the world is moving on around us, Garrett. Maybe we are old fashioned, suggesting that something special should happen on the rotation around the sun. How archaic of us.
Yeah.
After all, there's a whole galaxy out there, a whole universe.
I mean, I had to invite people I didn't even like to my wedding because of social norms. So
there you go, right? You know what? Get rid of the social norms. Let's talk about Heroes of the Storm. And I'm having such a great time right now. We are getting geared up for the next Nexus gaming series. So the team's back together. Baby on board is practicing again. We're participating in the CCS Nexomania, which is a completely for fun tournament with really no rules to it. So you can equip, weird mounts, skins you're not allowed to normally in the Nexus gaming series. And we are getting stomped because I think you're organized based on who your highest ranked player is. And, we range all the way right now from silver to masters, almost grandmasters. So we are getting destroyed by some of the weirdest things I've ever seen, but it also is really, really good practice. And the delightful thing about being an organized play solo laner is, even when you lose, if you had a good solo lane, you have this camaraderie with the enemy guy, It's like in Troy, where all the riffraff all the trash is smashing together and throwing each other on shields. And there's like a quick cut here and someone dies, and quick cut here and someone gets beheaded, but nobody really cares. But then Ajax meets Achilles and what have you. I think they were on the same side. But you know what I mean. The heroes meet, and suddenly there's like a circle. Everyone kind of gives them room around them and sort of stops fighting and watches. And no matter what happens in that little fight, it determines the outcome of everything, but it's important in its own special way. So I'm having a great time throughout all of this organized play. When it's over, getting to be like, hey, whisper to you, good game over there. That was awesome. I have no idea what was happening down there. You probably don't know either. And whatever happened there clearly affected our level outcome and our top duel, but it was a delight. However, I will go on to say, and this has been a sore spot for me for a long, long time, secret bugs are bad, and I hate them.
Secret bugs.
Secret bug features, some might call them.
Are you telling me that you're not a fan of bed bugs? Because they're kind of secret bugs.
That's true. Probably not. Thankfully, I don't know what they're like, and I would assume they're very bad. It's why you can't give mattresses to Salvation Army, after all. And they take anything, Garrett. Anything.
Well, clearly not. Clearly not. They take anything except mattresses.
Mostly everything. No, this past week I experienced a Dahaka burrow bug. And using a special trick where you body block your own burrow, you can play the sound in a distant bush and not actually go anywhere. And also not go on the required 8-second cooldown like Brightwing does.
Okay,
or
I had heard
does.
whispers about what you're describing, but I couldn't find an actual description of what the hell the proper bug was. I just heard vague allusions to it. That's evil.
Yeah, you're mid lane, let's say. You're helping out with the team fight, and you hear, and you go, Dahaka, top bush, and you swing and you throw and you do things because you heard the sound there because you're a nice wear player who, leaves their headphones on and doesn't turn off the music and whatnot. You're right. I should be rewarded for this information. And then Dahaka's pushing top. Nothing happened. And when you go to try to find an answer about these things, all you get is a bunch of nose tapping and a bunch of winking and like, you ever been to the Windstriders Discord? Like, ugh.
They bother
me, man.
I just finished like my 4-3 watch of Death Note, and that just all that reminds me of is where's the Shinigami? And alarms going off and klaxons sounding and people running around. That's it. You spinning around in an office chair going, where's the Dahaka? Does anyone have eyes on the Dahaka?
There's a lot of little bugs like this in the game that are kept very secret by the select few who know how to use them. And I can only imagine as a developer trying to find these bugs and replicate them, as everyone's saying, shh, wait, don't tell anybody. This is how I'm winning. Has to be pretty rough.
Yeah, well. In the meantime, Kyle, I found the earliest reference to Heroes of the Storm on a podcast that we did before we move out of full top of the show anniversary discussion.
Oh, really?
Back on February 14th, 2014, on episode 181 of StarCast, there's a Heroes of the Storm update listed in our rundown of the episode.
What was the episode number?
181.
Oh, so that's where we actually added it to the news, because we definitely talked about it, I'm sure, before it. That was the beginning of the beginning, if you will. Not the beginning of the end. It was the beginning of the beginning.
Actually, it looks like it goes back. I'm digging a little bit deeper. So, yeah, we're still hearing, let's see, Heroes Q&A on January 23rd, 2014. We made it on the StarCraft podcast we were doing. This was the big drought of Heart of the Swarm, where the entire StarCraft 2 meta was just, what was it? The Swarm host. It was just Swarm host meta. They were waiting forever to balance it. It was boring to play. It was even more boring to watch. And we just started covering Heroes. And it wasn't that much longer that we just decided to quit the StarCraft podcast altogether and fire this show up.
I mean, I know there was a time where we talked about the custom game that we played at BlizzCon, but that was definitely a throwaway. We didn't even have a custom game section of that show eventually.
Yeah, it was, That's why it's the earliest mention of like Heroes of the Storm I could find in a podcast we did together, because I ran a search for what was it? I mean, it was originally called Blizzard Dota, and I'm not finding anything. So, yeah, man, since as early as possibly earlier, 2014, like very beginning of 2014, we were already flirting. We were already cheating on StarCraft with Heroes of the Storm.
Sure. I mean, to be fair, we had a big glorious wedding with StarCraft. Everyone was invited, but I never really left my mistress, Dota 2 at the time. Kind of, I'd go on a business trip for the weekend, if you will, and I'd go play a bunch of Dota. So that only ended when Heroes of the Storm came out. And in fact, the last time I played Dota, I did it last year, just a quick little Undying game every once in a while, but because there are still heroes that aren't quite fulfilling that niche. Like they have a Spider Queen over there where you lay out webs and you're stealth inside of them, but everyone knows where you are because there's these giant web networks. It's really thematic and fun. She lobby, if you will.
Oh, that's cool. I'm into that.
Yeah, and then when you shoot people with a certain spell and they die in time, they explode into spiders that you now control. There are certain fantasies that aren't covered, and I highly doubt. I bet we have a named spider from World of Warcraft somewhere, if not Diablo. We could probably get a spider hero.
My Exna is the first one that comes to mind.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, Hearthstone
Ramus.
Definitely made her a lot more popular in my head, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, we named the segment on Starcast. It was called Stormwatch. We had a Heroes of the Storm segment on our StarCraft podcast.
Very cute, very cute.
If I remember correctly, you made that bumper, and it sounded like a weatherman segment on a news show.
I remember that. I used the sound effect for where I grew up. My local news in New Mexico in Albuquerque.
I remember this because we had one person write in that knew what it was. They were like, wait a minute, is that? I remember getting an email about that.
Yep.
They were like, is that the Stormwatch Albuquerque weather report music that you used on that bumper? And you were like, yes, it is. One other person in the world that knows this reference.
It's perfect. Fractions of fractions.
Yeah. Now you know how I feel, man. I make like a really deep cut pop punk reference, and one person tweets at me like, I love that band. I'm like, yes.
Well, we all know what happens in Florida. Absolute hell. It's fine.
Storms or pop punk, or where are we going with this?
People breaking in for ice cream machines, man. Like anytime you bring up Florida news, we all know what's going on. But you say New Mexico news, and someone's like, I wonder what that's like.
I just assume it has a lot to do with red and green chilies.
And balloon fiestas.
Oh, yes, but that's only in Albuquerque.
Yep. Well,
anyways,
happy 6th year to everybody. If you're newer to this game, welcome to you. And we've got some news to talk about.
Yeah, we do. And let's get into it. Where's that bumper? There it is.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
We got an interesting blue comment, Kyle, and one of the more rare ones that straight up announces something from a future patch.
Now, so, I do want to give some props, though. Before you go further, I do want to give some props because it's easy for us to say this is rare, but Blizz Cofault has made a point of when he comments, it is content-y and interesting and crunchy.
Like, I'm sorry, that wasn't meant as any sort of dig.
Yeah, I don't think anyone took it that way, but I'm just excited because our new, at least representative balance designer who's been talking more and more is supplying us with the goods, and I thank him for it.
Yeah, possibly, right? Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed
balance designer. Suspicious balance designer suspicion Cofault. We will start referring to Cofault as. Anyways, this all came about via a Reddit thread that was talking about. They think, this one Redditor in particular thinks that Stitch's longer hook should be a quote unquote real quest, not something that just you get when you hit a certain level. And this brought out Cofault with a blue reply on the Heroes of the Storm subreddit. I'm not going to read the thing in full, but some of the notable quotes is that Cofault said, quote, "We know that we have to be careful with quests as they can encourage suboptimal play. to complete them. This is something you and I have talked about and been concerned with for years, ever since quests really kind of started. But then Kofeld continued to say, quote, "We accept the cost of some element of unfairness in exchange for a wider range of experiences from playing different heroes. We don't have much desire to change Medivh's quest," for example. Kind of talking about the fairness of why do some people have to quest for a power reward and some abominations don't. Which, before we move on to like the hard, like, hey, here's something that's happening in a feature patch. How do you feel about that? Do you feel it is unfair that Stitches essentially gets a quest power up without having to quest, and plenty of other heroes still got to get their quest on?
I disagree vehemently with the original poster, because that's how you get random bull in your video game. Like we talked about this so many times. The madness of Murd running around the early game stunning for no reason. It's kind of weird.
Oh, do I have good news for you, Kyle?
I know, and I'm excited about that news. But the idea of going that direction with Stitches sounds insane to me, because you know what I'd do? I'd stop taking chances on a good hook. I'd do a reliable melee hook that would be really, really stupid and useless. So, no, we should not. Like, Medivh's fine because it's damage. And that's, yeah, he's got a lot to his kit, but him doing damage and getting more damage and eventually being able to survive and get weird now that the damage is done kind of is what he wants to do in the first place. And it makes Medivh take risks. It forces him to be kind of weird there. And I like that in a damage dealer. Just like Vala, I don't really have a problem with Vala. Yes, I might, fire my hungering arrow at a tank more than I probably should in the early game, but enemy Stitches is bigger than the enemy Li Ming, and I want to get my quest done.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have talked for literal years about our concern with quest talents and why a lot of them, I think you and I, like the TLDR on our opinion, and correct me if you don't agree with this TLDR, is that we are okay with quests when they are designed in such a way that playing optimally is how you complete the quest, and we don't like them when you are incentivized to play incorrectly to complete them, and Muradin's probably the best example of that. I would probably give Convection as a good example. It's like, what do you want to do? You want to land flame strikes? Well, Kael'thas wanted to do that anyway. Kael'thas already wanted to land flame strikes.
That's definitely a weird one, because then you're empowering your flame strike, which you shouldn't do because you should hit your hero with a better aim, right? But the fact that there is an option for you, I mean, my guilty pleasure in quick match all of last season was Blizzard Jaina, because it gets big and easy. So there's nothing wrong with having multiple approaches to an actual play style. Now something like, let's say built-in quests like Alarak, I don't really know how I feel there, because increasing your sadism by hitting abilities back to back, it's a great way to practice. You should hit all your abilities, and doing them all in one big pile might mean that you sort of sit on a mount and go around in circles and hang out waiting for your longest cooldown, in this case, telekinesis. So you have 8 seconds on Discord Strike, 6 on Lightning Surge. A Alarak who is casting Discord Strike on cooldown might have a better time or deal more overall damage, but waiting for that telekinesis means they get the full combo, and then they can actually hit with that extra damage and get the sadism thereafter.
Yeah. Anyways, but before we move on to the Muradin bit, there's one final thing that I found interesting here, which is kind of telegraphing, Kofold's kind of telegraphing here the direction they're heading, or confirming a theme of rethinking quest talents, by saying that frequently when they update a hero, quests are high on their list to be either reconsidered or refocused. So if a hero is getting looked at and that hero has quests move high up on the list of scrutiny, certainly the way I'm reading into this. So with that in mind, I already saw someone in Kalich King in the chat room saying, I would love if Muradin got the quest in a similar manner. I think you're going to be happy because Cofalt finished this by saying, quote, with the next patch, we are currently planning to grant Muradin Stormbolt Pierce as a level unlock. Which, hallelujah. Or whatever dwarves say.
For
Cosmodan!
Yeah, damn it. For Cosmodan. Yes. Heck yeah. That's great. We've been talking for a long time about Murd in particular stunning people randomly. I think that is fantastic that he is going to aim at something that should be killed or save that cooldown for a moment when it might have a greater impact, like healing, perhaps. I'm curious to know if they're just going to go with 13. Like, is 13 the magic number? It kind of seems like it says after 10. You got your 10 ability going on.
Yeah,
Feels right.
There's a lot here that I think play to some very well documented biases by you and I. Like, we have not historically been the biggest fan of quest talents, and I have been on a warpath with my low opinion of Stitches for probably the last year. But I want to bring that up because I think another piece of this is the overall power level of the hero, right? Like, do they need to work that hard? Are they bringing enough to the table already? Or can we just give them a power spike at a certain level? I think with the case of Stitches, I think the answer was absolutely yes. I think there was totally room in Stitches' impact pie to buff up one of those slices. I don't think Stitches was doing it. And I think it's been successful. I'm really happy with Stitches for the first time, I think, ever in the history of this game. I really, really like where Stitches has ended up post the most recent patch.
Also, in the funsies of you and I enjoying quick match Stitches Vala, I've become a much better Stitches. So I'd like to say we're having a better time because of that as well.
Well, yeah. But listen, dude, I'm sorry to break the news to you. I do play Heroes of the Storm with other people and a lot of times strangers. And I've ended up with some strange Stitches. We're doing great. You win some, you lose some, but like, it really felt like a death sentence when I was paired with the rando Stitches in the past, and I don't feel that way anymore.
I wonder if the Stitches 13 unlock is an extra layer to it, though, because you do self-root for longer when you miss. So there is a downside to getting that talent that somebody could make an argument they don't want it. Like, for instance,
yeah, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's baseline. You got to deal with it now. It's just a part of learning the character, is my retort.
Totally. And oftentimes you just sort of naturally happen upon it. It is not a heroic cooldown that suddenly shifts. This is a 16-second cooldown augmented with talents. So every 16 seconds you take a shot. Around 13, even if you're not thinking about it, that shot's going to go a little extra long. And your brain goes, oh, right, updates for the rest of the game. And it doesn't really cause trouble.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions. I think it's going to be a big conversation for this episode. First off, along my line of thinking, which is let's consider the hero's overall power and impact, which I would have argued that pre most recent patch, Stitches was not impactful enough, and just granting him more power at a certain level was not going to completely upset the balance of things. Do you agree with that summary? And do we think Muradin falls under the same category? Because I don't necessarily think he does. I think Muradin's doing just fine, and I'm not so certain that he necessarily needs the help.
That's a very interesting question when you involve Muradin, because he is the go-to tank for people who are suddenly having to tank. It's a lot like the Lily equation, right? Like,
he's the Lily of tanks, which is funny because I do think Muradin it takes a lot of finesse and skill to be an effective Muradin. So I find it interesting that this has been, for as long as we have played this game, the default tank for folks that just need to fill the role. This is real time. This is a half-baked thought. I think it's Johanna. It's Johanna more than it's Muradin.
I think Johanna bores people too much.
That's fair. Mobility is fun, man. Mobility is fun, and Muradin has mobility.
I think Johanna is more like Anduin in that way. If we're going, so if Muradin is Lily, it's this fast-paced, actiony, movement, spammy hero with a heroic that is very loud and has a lot of survivability. And if you are just going to pick something because you have to fill the role, those appeal to the I was an assassin, now I'm going to play. But if we go to the pool of people who say, I will have one of each role, and I'm not entirely interested in healing or tank, but I'm going to have one, I think that's where we elevate Anduin and Johanna as the kitchen sinky types.
I like it. I like it. All right. Yeah. All right. You've won me over. You've won me over. I'd fight you on it, but I'm more interested in exploring other directions of this conversation, if I'm being honest. But yeah, like just overall power level, do you think it's a concern that we may just grant Muradin more power without additional effort?
I think the effort was silly.
So his
ultimately.
win rate right now on Hot Slogs is 48.8% and rising. Up almost 1%. Yeah, where's old Mr. Stitches? Stitches has cracked the 50% mark. He's gone up almost 5% and is sitting at a 51% win rate on Hot Slogs. That's so exciting. I'm really happy to see that.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Overall, our meta is switching around dramatically from something that was very heavy CC and even point and click CC to now a very kind of wild damage based meta. And it's causing a lot of heroes that succeed in those environments to do very well. For instance, Mal'Ganis is now our top tier tank because Lucios are too busy doing other things. I mean, you got Bright Wings and stuff like that still, but in general, we aren't running as many bruisers that have pushbacks, chaos, like what was brought about in our Gazlo Diva kind of metas of the past. And with Hogger brought down as well, there's not as much pushback. And ETC didn't get a buff, and Diablo hasn't recovered from his little nerfs. So Mal'Ganis is premier, which is also meaning that when we're low on CC, a lot of other heroes are succeeding. Like Kerrigan right now is our top win rate hero in the whole game. If you exclude Outlighters.
My God, I haven't really been paying attention to the tanks. So Nubarak is right underneath May, and they're both very, very close to Mal'Ganis in win rate. They're within less than 1% of one another. That's wow. I didn't realize that, but that makes a lot of sense what you're talking about. I still, I'm just going to admit something here, Kyle. I don't get May. I don't understand the draw to May. I don't find May to be a particularly effective hero. But it's contrary to, I think, the bring some CC to the game kind of conversation we're having right now, and which I realize that May brings, but it's much more hopeful than direct. Mal'Ganis has a lot more control over who gets CC'd and where his CC goes, and same goes for Nubarak. So May just sticks out a bit like a sore thumb to me that doesn't fit that narrative.
If you don't want to play the hero, that's a whole other conversation to have, but I would encourage you to pick May on 2-lane maps where you don't have to manage your back line. Okay. Because that's where May feels awful.
That's fair.
When you're cursed hollow and there's like 5 angles of approach and you think you're handling the Tychus with blinds and the CCing the dude, but then people are coming around from other angles and you can't do a thing about it because you spend all your cooldowns doing one combo.
Yeah.
But you do that bottom lane Hanamura with everyone always standing behind you, you know exactly where they are, and shifting your position with icing and all that sort of thing is a lot easier to do and a lot more fun.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to let's answer the question. Is Muradin too good already that we're concerned about giving him additional power? Giving him guaranteed additional power, because you already get that additional power through questing, even though you're playing suboptimally.
It's a baseline quest, so as long as you were hitting your stuff, you were going to get in the first place, and if they're matching it to the point where you would get it done about, which, off the top of my head, 13 sounds like a pretty good time for you to get that done. I think that's fine. I mean, yes, Perfect Storm. Actually, Perfect Storm might be delayed. I could, honestly, with Perfect Storm in tow, that might actually be a nerf to him. I don't know the math well enough. This is the level 1 talent where he increases his damage. So if you're a master of hitting, you would actually get Pierce sooner and would begin to scale this out of proportion.
Yeah, that's a job for a spreadsheet and people smarter than us, I think. We did not think about this before the show, and we are not doing math live on air.
No, I think, but let's instead, if I may move this conversation over to a different hero to really kind of highlight where this gets weird, things like Kel'Thuzad.
I think it's part of Kel'Thuzad.
Like the Alarak kind of thing. Like you can't dequest Kel'Thuzad without undoing the hero.
I would argue yes, because again, doesn't Kel'Thuzad's current quest design line up with yours and my desires for the ways quests should be designed? It's not like Kel'Thuzad is doing things he wouldn't want to be doing anyway.
It's true. My issue with Kel'Thuzad has always been he's impossible to practice in quick match, where you've got Genjis and Valas and Novas and Li Mings as your primary targets. Yeah.
Valeris, yeah. Yeah, that's its own thing, right? This is kind of a draft specific hero. Hey Kyle, that's what Smurfs are for.
Perfect. There we go. But I do think you can apply this philosophy to other heroes who have maybe required talents. Those would get really interesting.
I think that's where you and I should take this. Is like, what other heroes do we think should get this treatment? Because from by Kofalt saying, hey, when we look at a new hero or when we look at changing a hero right now, if they have a quest, that moves to the top of the list for assessment. It certainly seems that this is modern balance philosophy, or at least the direction they're heading. What other quests would we like to see go away or become a level specific bake-in?
Also, if the chat knows of any other baked in original quests like Muradin's that I'm not thinking of at the moment, I'd be curious to see if we could update those with quests.
That would be Butcher is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Oh, like a
go get meat.
Yeah,
There's a risk reward to Butcher's design that I rather enjoy.
Yeah, it's not. Then you kind of get in like the Nazebo sort of viral infection territory where there's kind of a mini game. I don't personally enjoy it the most, but it does give that mini game to both your team and the enemy team. Like, for instance, I get to tell a joyous story. This week, I had a Storm League game where we picked no healer, no tank. And everybody was just cool with it. And it just happened, and nobody complained, and we gave it our all, and we won at like 30 minutes.
Sometimes, man, just bringing a little extra power to the party, damage-wise, it's all you need.
But in that case, the Butcher was on our team. And everybody silently agreed that we would sacrifice ourselves to get Butcher stacked. And anytime Butcher got in trouble, we would throw ourselves into the mix. I also played Cassia, so I was doing full fend build because I didn't want to aim at the Butcher's hitting target. I wanted to go, that's the thing we're going to kill, because everything in this game is relying on Butcher getting kills. So I did full fend build. And if there's any Cassia mains out there, they're all going, ooh, don't. I did. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
So it's funny to actually bring that up, because it is something that I've been, oh my God, like let's give him meat for camps. Like let's help Butcher out here. But then you come and say, well, you might get meat early, or there's a level 20 talent you can click because you're so awful. you complete your meat by clicking that button. Oh, I'm like, oh no, don't do that. That's not a good idea. He should work for his meat.
Yes. Yeah. So what other quests stick out to you? Are there any other main offenders? Because to me, like I just think of the history of us complaining about Muradin as just throwing stuns for years. And so nothing else immediately comes to my mind.
Yeah, there's certainly talents that could become baseline, like something like Arthas has, but that's a whole nother conversation. Stacking Frostmourne would be fun.
Well, and that's not a quest, right? We're just talking about what would be good bake-ins at that point.
So where my mind first goes is area effects, things and talents that aren't so flashy, but would feel good to just get at 13, because that's kind of our magic number we're working at here in our heads.
To clarify,
like Dazzle Bomb area.
Are you off the reservation for quest specific talents? This is now just things you think should be baked in?
Well, Well, a little bit. So I'm taking the conversation from quests on Muradin back to Stitches and doing baked in range and area effect increases.
Okay. Because there's
So
no Gezel Bomb quest, right? What am I
no, not
missing?
at all.
Okay.
But if Stitches had a talent that increased the range of his fishing hook with the talent, and he now gets that at 13, there are plenty of other
Okay.
options
Gotcha.
that we can pursue.
Yeah. So this, I was so hung up on the Muradin lineup. So, yeah. So we're back to the Stitches equation. Okay. That makes sense. I hadn't thought about that. I got so hung up on the Muradin thing. You're right. This is now a new way to bake things in. So instead of saying you get it from the beginning, we're probably going to take some power out of it to compensate for the fact that you're getting it in the beginning. They're saying you get it at its full power, but you just get it later. Guaranteed.
Right. So there are talents. Let's see here. Explodium charges extra charges. Hyperfocus coils, maybe. I feel like there's an Explodium area. The range of
cast
Explodium.
range. It's cast range. And it's level 1. It's rocket boots. It is still a very, very popular and very, very effective talent. Loading up hot slogs right now. It's been a little bit since I looked at it, but this is still what I pick almost every damn time. 63% popularity with a 54% win rate. It's the most picked and highest win rate according to hot slogs.
Ooh, I got one for you, Garrett. Darn it, Jaina. No, please, no more. I'm done stacking for an ice block. I would like it at 13, please, for free.
I do dislike that one.
And it's not as egregious as, of course, like Muradin, because then you're not stunning random tanks or targets, and you're not trying to farm this. You are farming it, but Jaina's already kind of short range, so giving the enemy Diablo a quick cone of cold doesn't feel like an outrageous sin. However, Jaina is often good at things like camps, and if you have another stacking hero like Zul'jin on your team, Jaina's going to be the one to cover that solo lane in that case, because Zul'jin's going to take over the whole business. Zul'jin definitely in that kind of Kel'Thuzadi sort of questing it is his thing. I don't think we changed that. But Jaina Ice Block, give it to me. 13. I want it for free.
I'm not going to fight you on that one, man. That one does drive me nuts. I do not like grinding that one out. I do not find it fun.
But I was originally going to use Jaina as an example of somebody who has a range increase and an area increase. Stormfront increased the cast range of Blizzard by 75% and the radius by 30%. Hey, how about we just put those two together and we'll call it like Archmage something or other?
You've been
and at
all
13,
about the Jaina lately.
It's fun.
I feel like you've been stressed learning new things in Heroes of the Storm, and Jaina is you just like lighting up a cigar and going,
I mean,
nice.
I as a bruiser who has had to learn a lot for NGS and a lot of individual matchups, yes, targeting circles on top of people makes me go, good brain juice.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta think a little less, man. You just gotta give your brain a rest. That's fine. It's the thing is with Jaina's been quite powerful, quite impactful in the past. I think we get to our Stitches didn't seem as impactful as Muradin. I think Stitches needed this help. Maybe Muradin doesn't need it as much, even though I'm super happy with the fact that Muradins aren't going to be stunning just to stun. You've mentioned 3 different things now on Jaina. If we do all 3, I think she's going to be too damn powerful.
No, it's totally too much. Absolutely.
Way too powerful. You pick one, Kyle. Pick one.
Then Ice Block it is. 100%. I have other jobs to do. I can cover lanes. I can double soak. I can take camps. Let me get that Ice Block without having to worry about stacking on the enemy team for it.
All right.
And
yeah, I'm with you. I would also go with the Ice Block of all the things you mentioned.
Right, and in the games where I need Ice Block most, let's go with Valera. I'm probably not in positions where I'm using Cone of Cold to get that stacked in the first place.
Well, and now we're getting into, kind of meta level, I think, just game design and game theory, and what do you think their intention is for designing this game, right? Because I look at those Blizzard talents, and I agree with you, yeah. If you're going that build, you're taking those talents, and they seem kind of required. But if you're not going that build, you end up with a very different Jaina, and I like that, and it's kind of the point of talents, right? So to me, those Blizzard talents, As much as I want you to be happy, Kyle. I don't see a reality where we start having a discussion about getting any of those Blizzard improvement talents just happening at a level.
Now, I got one for you that I think you'll find agreeable. Calamity for free at 7 for Li Ming.
Oh, Calamity. Yeah, I'm down. All right, here. All right, everyone. I'm just gonna do a thing I don't usually do, which is just reference the notes. I'm reading ahead in the notes, and I see you mentioned Arcane Orb and Magic Missile, so I was bracing to yell at you that you're a crazy person, and I would never agree to this. And so you left field me, man. You left field me with this Calamity. Yeah. Calamity to me. Calamity is such an integral part of the Li Ming experience for me. And I think everyone should be forced to learn how to play Calamity Li Ming. Yeah. Do it.
Originally, my notes were going to be, well, let's give her that range for free. Let's give her those extra 2 magic missiles at 16 for free. But no, I'm with you. I mean, it is kind of cool, that we have scaling in this game where you gain percent base increases in power. When I get to wizards and stuff, my brain maybe goes a little too Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, ooh, every 5 missiles, you have 20 levels, so every two levels you get a bonus magic missile. Oh, 3rd edition,
yeah, it's getting too ridiculous there, and it's a difficult to follow narrative, right? I think. How much of this, though, Kyle, is this us bargaining, though? Because we've been wanting lane clear back on Calamity for so long. We just go, all right, you're never going to give us lane clear. Can we just get Calamity all the time, please?
I'm fine with that. You really, I know I'm kind of presenting this as a joke a little bit, but you really don't think it would be cool if they scaled Magic Missile in such a way that you had rhythmic updates and power to it, that you got another missile?
If you were going to do that, I think that's a really strong candidate for a traditional quest talent or baked-in quest. You gotta land X amount of magic missiles, and you gain an additional magic missile. You land 15 shots, now you've got 4. You land 30 shots, now you've got 5.
Oh, hell no, man! Magic missiles are for hitting Battlefield of Eternity, Immortals, and buildings, because everything else is hard to aim at. No.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that one, man. Dude,
Okay,
if you land your magic missiles, they hurt like a mofo. You start giving free magic missiles out. What are you doing? Why don't you just give every squirrel at Disney World a gun? Because that's how ubiquitous Li Ming players are. Everyone likes Li Ming. Everyone. Chat room, anyone not like Li Ming? I'm just gonna assume you're lying if you don't.
Well, okay. How about this? Pandemic on Nazebo. It's weird to have to use your toads to poison the lane, but knowing full well you'd be a lot more powerful if you just stopped lane clearing and hit people with toads instead.
I gotta remember what the hell Pandemic is. That's the
bonus
Toad
toads.
quest, yeah?
Yeah, 40 hits, 2 bonus toads.
It's not that hard to do. I don't like, that's another one I kind of like, because it's like, are you on a point control map? You're probably going Pandemic, and you're making an informed decision, and I don't know. Like
Okay.
If it's an informed decision and it's better on certain maps, and again, not asking you to just waste mana, waste cooldowns for the sake of completing a quest, I like it, and I think Pandemic checks all those boxes for me.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Clearly, there is a distinction when we get to things like tanks. Tanks being weird to get a quest done is difficult for the game in that way.
I'm having a lot of thoughts. Like, we're getting into, and I'm enjoying this talk. I'm just trying to explain kind of where my head's at. I'm now thinking about, how does it feel? How difficult is it to actually complete all of those sorts of things?
Well, let's shift gears a little bit here.
All right, I pushed the clutch in.
Okay, I'm trying to decide which gear I want to jump to because it's not in order.
Are we going faster or slow? No, I'm not gonna do this. Continue.
Let's say there is a very cool talent that may not actually be that viable, called actually, now that I say that, someone's like, no, it's viable. But hang on, stay with me here. Heroic difficulty on Ragnaros. Molten Core has 25% increased health and damage, and its cooldown is reduced by 50 seconds. What if at level 20 you got that for free? Because after all, you are Ragnaros. You are now level 20 heroic difficulty. Maybe your Molten Core should be better.
Here's where my brain goes. Because
Games are going to last forever.
Yeah, my shield is going up, and here's how my brain translated what you just said, which is my name is Kyle Fergusson, and I want 45-minute games.
I did come from Dota after all, but okay. But so what if we ride this thought a little bit and say any level 10 that you take that you feel is requiring a level 20 to be good, maybe that's an avenue for this as well.
Any level 10 that basically locks you into a technically feeling required 20? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
So
for instance,
what would you consider a required 20 because of something you took at 10?
Entomb. Not the perfect example, because if the enemy team doesn't have teleports and stuff like that and ways to get out of Entomb, it's going to be fine at level 10. But in some games, the enemy team is so squirrely that Death March isn't going to do a thing, so you just hold out on Leoric all the way to Buried Alive.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, there's so many movement abilities in this game, dude. I think that's definitely. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a really good example, actually, because there's no way it's not more often than not you're going to get some value out of Buried Alive. And let's look at its pick rate: 60% popularity, and the actually second highest win rate, but barely below Burning Despair, and Burning Despair is specific.
So what if we did that? Or what if Zagara Nidus Network allowed you to get the Endless Creep upgrade, and we can just move away from really kind of sad Zagara level 20s at the moment by not only like replacing them, not even with better things, but with entirely different things, because we're saying you want Endless Creep, I want Endless Creep, but we also know that there are not great options here otherwise.
Yeah, Zagara is I think a bit of a weird one, because I would love to be able to spec her back to her old like brawler days, like back when we were doing like DPS Zagara and it was effective and competitive with other DPS numbers. And you would bring Maw to the party to, bring some utility to your team. Yeah, but again, like you mentioned Maw, and I go, I wouldn't mind it. You're definitely selling me, but at the same time, I look at that and go, I mean, hell, it's not a perfect analogy, because it's a lot. You got to take Maw to even be going down this path, but it almost seems like the kind of thing you should quest for, like a Nazebo. Bring in this late game power as this multi-lane presence that's keeping the game going longer. And you've already kind of put my head there thinking about how Ragnaros extends games, and how I think I'm secretly really afraid of another Ragnaros meta because of longer games. And if we are going to end up in a meta like that, I think we need to up Nazebo's power just a hair, so that there's a counter, like a matched power opportunity in the draft. But
now I will say, be excited about Zagara slightly, because if our top tanks are things like Mal'Ganis and Stitches going forward, who both have armor-based abilities, Zag is much like Thrall, sitting on a pile of late-game giant killer damage, and she might make a big comeback.
That's true.
So I've got another example for you.
Okay.
Dahaka, Apex Predator, and Falstad, Epic Mount. Two very, very cool abilities that augment your globalness and your impact you can have at 20. You can get away with a lot of really cool stuff, but the choice to take them compared to increasing the power of team fight is often too high. And in fact, I will even throw in here a little bonus for you. You agree to this? I'll throw in an Angelic Flight for Ariel for free. Because that's a damn cool talent. And whoever animated and programmed the ability for Ariel to fly across the map as a global hero has been completely underrepresented. Got it. It's fine.
Underrepresented, yeah. I mean, so much of what you're rapidly firing off here is so difficult to push back against. But I think the net has gotten quite wide.
Yes, it has.
I think the narrative gets really, really confusing when we start talking about what bake-ins should be to things that affect heroics. Like, that's so hard to follow, and my brain gets a little hung up on that with like, well, once we do that and we have more than one hero that has a guaranteed bonus, if you take a specific heroic, how much does that over incentivize one heroic over another? Going back to the Zagara example of yours. But Apex Predator, I think, is a cleaner ask, right? Because it's not tied to a heroic. So yeah. I mean, if anything, dude, I think the easiest ask of everything you just rattled off was your tacked on angelic flight for Ariel, because I forgot she had it, and I bet a lot of people listening did too.
I have taken it maybe twice because I died. The team fight is breaking out. 20th hit as I res, and I say, "Oh my goodness, I need to be there."
I thought you said you were going to say that you've taken it twice because you sneezed while clicking.
It was very intentional. In fact,
Okay.
I remember there's a 1% pick rate talent on Lucio, so probably not our lowest, but let me just head on over to Hot Slogs here and take a look at who's rocking the flight. 5%, 6%, 5.9% Garrett.
5.9% of people love fun.
And that goes for the entire Here's the Storm demographic. We found him. 6% of people want to have fun.
It's up. It's up if you filter by the most recent patch. 6.7% of people like having fun.
I have no story to... Oh, actually, Warhead Junction. There's my excuse. Warhead Junction is in the rotation. And
I think you might be right. Kyle. I'm just gonna let me see. I'm just gonna click Warhead Junction on the filter here and go. It jumps up to a whopping 9.5% popularity on Warhead Junction.
Right.
64% of Orioles are still just going Shield of Hope though. So on Warhead Junction.
Problem solved. Yeah. I mean, like that kind of augment for fun is what I'm really looking for in this, because like there are heroics that are powerful. Like Buried Alive is kind of scary to even bring up. But then there are heroics and level 20s that are so thematic, you just want to have them anyway, like Metamorphosis on Illidan. Always being in demon form, nowhere to hide, the hunt now sees across the map. Those are just really, really cool. And I feel like it would be more interesting on Illidan to say, Nexus Blades, Bolt of the Storm, whatever else they could come up with, instead of these augments for something I chose mid-game.
It's I'm my brain's heading in like 3 million different directions at this point. It's exciting though, right? I think what we're landing on is this is a cool new tool in the hero balance tool chest.
Agreed. It would be the equivalent of a free item popping up in another MOBA back at the base. It's just a really cool idea for how to augment things. And I would love to see some, more and weirder mechanics, like things based on which way your hero's facing. Like you have more armor from behind or the front on Johanna, for instance. But those can be entire heroes based on those ideas. Like that can encapsulate an entire kit.
So would have suggested designing Reinhardt, but we know we're never getting Reinhardt.
Yeah, I mean, or we could just call her Tiny Reinhardt from now on, and we still get Big Reinhardt at some point. But yes. Also, apparently, I found a bug in the game. There are 5 copies of base Johanna in the preview skins. Just plain, no augments Johanna.
No augments. Okay.
Weird. Anyway,
interesting stuff. But yeah, also it's just good to hear that they're. I don't know. Like I wasn't expecting to hear about anything from a feature patch this early, because we've had 2 major patches this year, so it's looking like 3 months between patches at the moment. So that's exciting to get this kind of tease. Yeah, overall, going back to your comments at the very beginning of this discussion, go Cofalt. We really like your comments here.
Yeah, and we want to hear more, of course, but this is also very, very juicy. I mean, this is a fun experiment, and the fact that the Stitches rework and this particular idea went so well that we're pursuing it further is very exciting. Now, if I were to be a complete drama hound and say, but we didn't bring up how we're continuing Lone Talents, they've failed, a massive failure by Blizzard. Honestly, I'm doing perfectly fine with Lone Talents. The only one I really take is on Stitches because I want the base part of it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's at this point, after 3 weeks of enjoying these, that's how I'd like to see Lone Talents be in the future. I love second helping. I want that extra charge, and the lone being this incidental, if I heal above full health and get a shield, is neat. It's neat. But I don't miss it when it's gone, because when I'm struggling from behind, I'm not eating people when I'm at full health.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that should be how, I think that's how we want Lone Talents design, though, right? Like, if you're happy enough with it at the gate and you don't really mind it when it's gone because the permanent effect is, I don't know. It's like, get you in the door with the loan and keep you there because of the permanent effect. I mean, it's really it's clearly what they're going for, to various degrees of success. Vala has so many other issues right now, just I think with the overall power and one build shining above the rest. But the risk reward on going auto attack build that Lone Talent, I think, is like, it's too great. It is far too great. It's so amazing if you actually get to 20 and you haven't died and you've got that full Lone Talent still going, but chances of getting there doesn't seem worth it to me. So.
And I think the Raynor one is augmented by what feels like a loss of power there. So we take it to recover what we previously felt Raynor was, and seeing that leak away over the course of the game gets a little rough.
Yeah. I mean, let's just keep that going. Right before we get into emails here, how are you feeling about the state of things? We've had this patch for a couple weeks now. You mentioned Raynor. Raynor's not doing good.
No, he's down almost 4% after his big update. But all reworked heroes are up in some regard. Anduin basically broke even with a 0.8% win rate increase. But people are enjoying Anduin. I think he's more active.
Yeah.
Vala, absolutely, up 7.5% or so. She's big. She's huge.
Yeah, this is Vala's town now. I think we got into this last week with J-How. Is that kind of overall, this is a successful patch. As you mentioned, all reworked heroes except Raynor are up, and Anduin is kind of just where he already was. And like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm super stoked about Vala. I'm having a really good time playing her. It's making me play more quick match than I probably would be otherwise, because I just want to play Vala. I'm enjoying her so much. I love Vala's kid. I really do. Vault is so much fun as an auto attacker, just being able to shift your position like that. I don't know. And I'm almost like, this a little toxic. I'm just gonna give you a little like parsley amount of toxicity. I'm a little happy Raynor ain't doing well, because I was not excited about these changes on paper. I don't want laner Raynor. It's not what I want. I want relaxed auto attack. That's what I want Raynor to be. That's what he's always been for me, and I don't really want him to lose that.
That's an interesting way to put it. I mean, if you compare Vala's very active gameplay to Raynor's more, I'm going to right click you and I better not click anything else, it'd be rough in comparison to end up in a Raynor meta, because at least Vala has these diver, how can we CC, or how can we get a hold of that Vala sort of gameplay that's very interesting and fun. But I would say the real joy, ultimately, as much as I may have bemoaned it, is this big bruiser mix-up and lowering down Hogger, Sonya, Diva. Across the board, we're looking at 3 to 2%-ish on a lot of those heroes. Hogger only down about 1%. That's been really healthy. And you nerf Uther at the same time, taking him down about 1.3%. And you find yourself in a lighter CC meta, which is actually really big. And I talked about Mal'Ganis, not up a lot, but really fun to play, something I very much enjoy. But we're also seeing heroes like Kerrigan go up. Urel's gone up almost 3%. And in particular, you can really think of this with Alex Straza. Like Alex Straza going up, that's a whole different meta. And all sorts of different things are going to work. Granted, CC light metas mean more Zeratools, Illidan's, Valera's, Artanis's that aren't being put down. And it does mean that things like Blaze and Kel'Thuzad end up falling as well because they are part of the CC setup that other heroes then follow or enjoy. Abathur is down right now the most, who hasn't been affected at all. Knocked down a full 3.3%, and I'm not entirely sure why. But our big loser across the board of this whole patch is Falstad. And we mentioned it when we saw the balance patch notes originally in that very first PTR episode we did. They bug fixed him and nerfed him. He is down 7.5% right now.
Yeah, which I find very interesting. But at the same time, this has unfolded in the order I personally would have liked to see it. Let's fix the bugs first and see where Bird Boy lands. Now we know for a fact that that bug was keeping Falstad viable, probably too viable. So, hey, you know that 20, 30-minute conversation we just had about things that, maybe you can bake it in or whatever? Maybe you look at that bug and think about a certain amount of bake-in, but tweak the damage numbers or tweak the slow or what have you. Clearly,
we can also
something clicked there for Falstad. Sorry, go ahead.
We can also go a whole different direction and say everyone's playing Falstad wrong. I mean, the tournament players had to adapt to bugs. They couldn't use the bug talents. So they took things like Secret Weapon, which is 30% increased range on Hammerang, basic attacks while it is in flight. So while it's out going about, 90% bonus damage to those auto attacks. And they succeeded, they learned, and that is the primary build you see in any sort of tournament play environment. But compared to something like Dishonorable Discharge and at level 7 they're charged up, we're looking at a 16% pick rate. And if we go with a full auto attack build with Secret Weapon, I mean, this is actually pretty deep. We're looking at 43 games played compared to 12,000 W builds.
Yes.
Okay, technically, I guess it's 1,000. So 1/12 of the player base knows that this build is the preferred way to build Falstad right now. So augment that. Interestingly enough, though, Lucio unmoved, despite level 20 bugs, despite a huge ban rate because no one wants to see high fives at a 6-second cooldown. Win rate completely unchanged.
Sounds like Lucio was a pretty damn good healer before that.
Yeah, he was definitely fulfilling the role. Yeah.
Yeah, if I had a hazard a guess, I wonder if the team was expecting Falstad to kind of have a similar reaction. Oh, we fixed the bug, and hopefully Falstad won't fall too far. Clearly, that's not the case. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts on Falstad. Maybe play him differently, what have you. But also, should build be this bad or this unimpactful? To use a better term, I would argue probably not. At the same time, maybe try a different build.
Ultimately, bug fixes plus a nerf caused this issue.
Yep.
We definitely, I wouldn't even say alluded to it. We loudspeakered it. Asmodan is up quite a bit right now. in the previous episode.
If you are interested in playing Asmodan and you missed last week's episode with Jay Howe, listen to it. It's that dude is like a really positive car salesman experience of selling you on Asmodan. It's just like, I don't know, a passionate Porsche salesman. It's like, you're gonna have to work hard for this, but my God, are you gonna be happy once you have it? It's good stuff.
I still disagree with Jay Howe on something like Desperate Prey. The self-root on Anduin at level 7, I am not interested in at all. But, it's a convincing case. Yeah, the car is going to be in the shop a lot, but it would look cool on it.
That would be a BMW, by the way.
Oh, really? Is that? Wow.
I don't know. My parents had some used ones growing up, and those things were always having electrical issues. Yeah, it was a pain. I don't know. Out there, come at me, BMW fanboys. Please prove me wrong. I've always liked them and have avoided them like the plague as a result. Anyways, you want to actually, before we take some emails, let's thank our patrons, dude, because, we've got some lovely folks. Can you believe we get paid to do this?
It's rather amazing.
It is. How many times have we been really concerned? We were concerned when HGC was, canceled, and the BRAC letter, and taking long between patches, and y'all just show up. You keep downloading the show every week. You write us, you let us know that you're there, that you're loving the show, and you back us on Patreon, which just means the world to us, and also helps us pay the bills. So thank you. Thank you very much for letting us do this for a living. And if you like the show and you want to check it out and you want to support us, check out patreon.com/ITN. That's where you can go and sign up. It's completely opt-in, and you can do whatever amount works for you. And you'll get access to our Discord. You'll get an ad-free version of the show, and you'll get to sign up for our patron game nights that we call the Patron Bonanzas. And we've got one tonight, Kyle.
Yes, looking forward to it. ARAM and unranked, depending on what your choice of flavor is. Are you more of a rocky road type? Or, well, I guess I need to decide which one's which.
I don't mind rocky road, but I much prefer cookie dough.
No, me too. But which one's cookie dough? So actually, which one's chocolate and which one's vanilla? It's probably the easier question. I guess unranked is vanilla.
Draft is definitely vanilla.
Yeah, and then ARAM's like the sweet chocolate and
Yeah, it's definitely milk chocolate. It ain't dark chocolate.
Yeah.
It ain't no dark chocolate, that's for sure.
Well, depending on your choice of flavor, there are options for you on the Bonanza night. Thank you for joining us for those. But again, the anniversary of Here's the Storm may not have been celebrated by the company, but it is celebrated around here. It is unreal to us that we have been here with you guys, producing this show, living this life, and thank you for supporting Into the Nexus.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody. And now we're gonna do some Q&A.
Darkness stopped calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com, or if you're a patron, just drop us a message right there in the patron Discord. Wes writes in and says, wouldn't it be cooler to call them gamble talents? It expresses a similar idea. You're taking a risk to use them. If you stay alive, the gamble pays off. If you die, you'll lose the advantage. I also think it works better thematically since we already have bribe talents. Gamble and bribe have a fun, slightly naughty connotation, whereas loan makes me want to push up my glasses and tell Garrett he needs more collateral. I've read this email multiple times. I just kept skipping the end because it looked like a sign off, and I'm so glad it did. That's a good argument. That's a solid argument. I think my defensive loan would be that at some point you got to give it back. And so losing it doesn't feel bad. And then gamble is making a promise that you have a chance to never lose it. But if you do, you feel like you lost. There's a win and a lose state to gambling. There is an agreement with a loan.
I see what you mean. What I want more is free gifts. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like Stitches, that loan comes with a gift. And I'm in it for the free gift. I'm going to go to that car parking lot and I'm going to test drive because it's free hot dog day. And I'm going to leave with some free hot dogs. Yeah.
Is that all it takes to get you to go in to test drive a car?
Listen, they were really into that in New Mexico, man.
They're doing $20 gift cards locally here.
What? Really?
Dude, they want to buy my car so bad. They're like, we don't, and I've told them multiple times. I'm like, you've got nothing on the lot I want. I'm not interested. They're like, we'll just buy it. Do you know how much your car is worth right now? Car prices are nuts right now, dude. Next time you want to waste some time, go look at it. But I'm finding it amusing that you'd show up just for hot dogs.
I'm a simple man. I like the gamble idea personally. I think it highlights the risk involved, and to me, gambling is going to the arcade. I've got $20 in my pocket. I'm gonna walk on the cruise ship down to the gamble place, and I'm gonna just play some games, and I'll lose it all, and it'll just be a good time.
Wait, there's actual arcades on a cruise ship. Are you talking about going to the actual arcade, or are you talking about going to the actual casino?
No, I'm saying like the casino has a Ghostbusters game. And yeah, it's a slot machine, but it makes Ghostbuster noises. And, I could go play Ninja Turtles in Time at the arcade, or I could go play Ninja Turtles, the gambling lose money game. And you know what? Sometimes I want to go put my coins in the one that makes other noises.
If anyone from the gambling industry is listening, especially if in the gambling game making industry is listening, please do not make a Turtles in Time gambling arcade game, because I live very close to a casino and that would be bad.
Big Apple PM.
That would be bad. Yeah. I think you make a good argument, Wes, but I'm going to stick with lone talents because I think it puts me in a better mental state to lose that bonus.
As an adult, I like the adult word.
I went to it from a gamification and how I interpret those words more than I was an adult. Corny. Hey, Corny writes in, says, HOTS has gone back and forth on talent philosophy, so which do you prefer? Being able to make a Q build with a Q talent on most tiers, or making a tier nothing but Q choices? Show your work. No, I'm getting a master's right now. I rescind your show your work request. You are not my teacher. You are not grading me. You are a patron, though. You could pull your patron. Okay, fine. That was a journey.
You're being graded. You're being graded in a sense.
Yeah. Former, definitely more than the latter. I like being able to make a build and spread that build out across. If you're going to make a forced choice tier, make it for something that's not necessarily build specific. It can be build adjacent, but make the theme of that tier something else, like self-healing. Something that's been on my mind lately with Vala. You get 13? And self-healing. How do you want to self-heal? And yes, technically, they're adjacent. The way you can self-heal are adjacent to other builds. I guess the consume hatred stacks for spell armor is not. But you can choose between auto attack and self-healing or QW self-healing.
I believe you get a self-healing, though, on 13 now with Gloom. Yes. A passive gain 20 spell armor, and each stack of hatred heals by 2.5 health per second.
I did forget about that, but it still stands that's not really tapping into any one build.
Yeah, 2.5 health per second. You're not going, invincible Vala.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to consume hatred. Consuming hatred feels bad. Those kind of talents, man, that's my number. We didn't really get into this. I think that's my number one, feels bad talent design, is when I have to consume something. I have to give something up to do something else. Like Malthiel, I take it every time. Consume marks so that I get unstoppable and run away fast. But I don't want to. I don't want to consume those marks.
You're thinking as Malthiel there. You need to make a big switch in your brain that says, I hate it. Because you get away from my CC as Malthiel.
Yeah, and I don't want to consume hatred. That feels terrible.
But the enemy isn't aware of that. Like, Vala consumes hatred. Oh, Vala lived. Why? I don't know. Maybe she did something. But brr, and Malthiel just walks out of all the CC. That's
it.
Rude.
I'm out.
That's rude.
It's too hot in this concert crowd. I need to run. I need to get out.
That's too rude.
Why did they do Warped Tour in July?
I think we found a really good balance with things like auto attacks. Like a forced auto attack level feels good to me, and each one can augment a different type of play style that I'm looking for. But we go back to forced Lunara Wisp talent level, boring, painfully boring.
Yeah, there's places where it feels good and feels bad, right? I understand it with Lunara because Wisp. Who's going to go? What are you going to do? You're going to make a full Wisp build? You're going to make Wisp talents at almost every level? No. It's a utility talent that doesn't really impact anything beyond scouting. And I don't necessarily disagree with Kajjar in the chat room saying Wisp is boring, but I do also like it. I like scouting tools big time. But I don't want to spec into that thing. I'll defend it, but not that much. I'm not going to defend it saying it should have its own damn talents, and it sure as hell should not have a dedicated talent tier because, that always felt terrible hitting that hitting that wall.
Yeah. Yeah, having to wait that extra bit for power. Though I will say that I think Wisp could use just a global cast because we're entering a time, and entering is even a little strong. Time Walker Pursuit on Chromie is the go-to talent right now. And her ability to reveal freely across the map, in addition to 10% spell power and other things as well, makes Wisp's travel time pretty sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not it's not the best, but yeah.
So just make it go and then like pop out of the ground, and here it comes, and there it is. You can move it, but your initial cast says, "I want it right here, right now." Maybe it lasts a shorter amount.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I like it how it is. We have both. We both.
That's true.
And we do it when it works, and clearly the team, the development, the devs have learned some lessons along the way, and ebbed and flowed in their design philosophy with this sort of thing. And Lenara is such a good example of that. I'm glad you reminded me. I haven't thought about the forced Wisp level in a long time.
Oh, dude, it was the worst.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you, Wes. Thank you, Corny, for your questions. Keep them coming. itncast@gmail.com. Again, if you're a patron, you can drop us a message right there in the patron Discord. Let us know if you got any Heroes of the Storm questions. I want to know where you get your hot dogs. That's what I want to know.
From the car parking lot.
By the way, Kyle, my favorite place to go is Home Depot. There's always like a street sausage cart. Like,
yeah,
the one here, it's like this little like half trailer that you can pull behind a truck, so they're completely enclosed. They got a little AC unit in there, but you can go and get like an Italian sausage with peppers and onions on a roll.
Okay. We're talking about hot dogs, not Italian sausages here.
I'm just saying, man. They got hot dogs too, but I'm there. Like, $2 more and I get the good stuff. Yeah, sign me up.
But that's like saying I'm going to an Italian restaurant and I'm getting spaghetti. No, I will not spend money.
What the shit do you have against spaghetti?
I will not spend money at a restaurant on spaghetti.
Okay,
because I can make my own damn spaghetti, and same with hot dogs.
End
but
of
Italian,
the show.
I know they're prepared in the same way, in the same vat of grease. But the Italian sausage, that's like you ordered the lasagna, or fettuccine. That's probably a better example.
The end of the show. The off-topic gloves are coming off. I order spaghetti, but only if it's a place that makes their own pasta from scratch every morning, which we have a couple of those here. That's where I'm like, oh yeah, F me up with that handmade spaghetti, because it ain't nothing like dropping a box in a pot at home.
Okay, is it shaped differently than my dollar box?
It's typically much fatter because, handmade.
Yeah.
All that jazz.
Okay.
There's two pastas I always keep at home, spaghetti and gnocchi. And those are the two that I like to get at places that make their own pasta, because they are nothing like the store-bought stuff.
Now you tell me wheels are available. Now we're talking.
Wheels?
Wheel
pasta?
I can't find wheeled pasta. It's the best.
That's because your grandma isn't still making you your pasta, Kyle. What is wrong with you?
I'm not. I could go buy baby shark shaped pasta if I really want today. I can buy Cheetos based pasta if I really want.
Wheel shaped pasta since my grandma used to babysit me.
I want wheels to come back so bad. The Parmesan cheese and the sauce gets caught in the spokes. You can load up like 4 on a single fork, and you have like this tube. So good. Best.
Listen, man, I try not to judge what makes you happy, but I'm over here stoked as hell that I found Dunkaroos at the grocery store the other day, and I can't help but think that's a little more interesting than wheel-shaped pasta.
I didn't need Dunkaroos to come back.
You got a P.O. box, man? Anyone have some wheel-shaped pasta they can mail out to Kyle?
Yeah. If anyone knows where I can, go to Amazon and find some wheel-shaped pasta here.
Oh, you order it from Amazon, you're getting like 20 pounds of wheel-shaped pasta. I hope you got a place to store that.
Wheel-shaped pasta. All right, yeah.
I hope you got a place to store that. Anyways,
$9. $9.
Look at how much are you getting?
Oh yeah, okay. You're right. Also, I'm sorting by featured, which is a sin. Customer reviews, please.
Learning a lot about Kyle today. Learning a lot about Kyle. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Keep those emails coming, itncast@gmail.com. Thanks again to our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. You can become a patron right now if you want to. Check it out, patreon.com/ITN. Speaking of which, huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., Sean B., and Mike R. Thank you very much for your generous support of the show. If you want to catch us live, we are live Thursdays at 3 p.m.-ish Eastern Time over twitch.tv/amovetv. Was fighting stream software today. We were a tad late. You can follow the show on Twitter at ITNcast. That's when you'll know exactly when we're going live. And other than that, Kyle, dude, when you're not going into the Nexus with me, where can people find you?
You can find me in a number of places. KyleFergusson.com, 2 S's in Ferguson. Twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. You can find me over on Frog Pants doing Dungeons & Dragons live play. But I would like to advertise the CCL, done by Heroes Hearth, where I run the halftime interview show there, but I also get to do replay reviews for them over on their YouTube, youtube.com/Heroes Hearth. Be sure to like it.
If you're doing the halftime show, I think you should also open every CCL by singing the national anthem. I really think that you need to do that.
I don't think you get to do both the beginning and the halftime show, right? Like Beyonce does the opening and then so and so.
It's esports, Kyle. Nothing's off limits.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Interesting. I'll think about it. But you should head over there and take a look at the replay review episodes I get to do. They're about 20 to 30 minutes long. I sit down with a player. We change the camera from the caster's point of view to just what that player was looking at. And we get to do an in-depth breakdown on what they were thinking about this hero, why they drafted it, what they're doing in-game, how they're even playing it, and how they would suggest you play it at home.
Awesome. Folks, I can be found on Twitter at Garrett Art, where sometimes I talk about going to Home Depot to get sausages, but also plenty of other things. I just finished watching Invincible and was tweeting about that last night. A lot of people very passionate about that show, Kyle. I am now one of them.
Looks interesting.
It's good. It's a good show. It's a good show. This podcast, however, and every single other one that I do can be found over at amove.tv. So go check it out. It's amove.tv. You can find the Angry Chicken over there. You can find this show. Go give it a look. Until next time, though, good luck, have fun, enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Take care.